Yet another ugly face of Pakistan has been exposed. Reports suggest that the Pakistani army has been using chemical weapons against the residents of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region in order to suppress the demand for a separate nation. Survivors of the brutal attack have exposed how the Pak army is using chemical weapons in addition with other means of destruction against the Pashtuns who have been demanding a separate state. Ariba Falak of the Sunday Guardian is joining us live now. In fact, Ariba, take us through the details of this explosive story which shows how Pakistan is suppressing another set of its citizens.
Yes, the pictures that our viewers can see on right now actually are coming from Waziristan. The family that was affected by the chemical weapons was living in Waziristan. This particular incident took place way back in 2016 in the month of February. So it has taken these pictures to reach us this much time. So at that time, the family was living in Waziristan. According to them, the Pakistan army bombarded them with these chemical weapons. They got infected by these, and they were able to get the right treatment, only when they were able to cross the border into Bannu. Bannu is quite near to where Waziristan is. So what happened is that these people, they were not sure that what is happening to their skin. It was only after that doctors in Bannu examined them that they were able to understand that, all right, so these injuries have been created have caused because of chemical weapons. So now the thing is that we don't know that how many other people were affected by those chemical weapons, because the only family which was able to cross the border, according to our sources, was this one, of whose picture we are showing right now. Apart from that, the place where they escaped, that is the region Bannu. In that region, approximately 950,000 IDPs. IDPs stand for internally displaced people are living there. These are the people who have escaped the war between Pakistan army and the militants, which are active in a region which is called FATA, F-A-T-A. It stands for Federally Administrated Tribal Areas. So the separatist leaders of Pashtunistan who want a separate Pashtun nation away from Pakistan's control, these are the people who have been for a long time trying to lift their cause in the public domain. And these are the pictures of these tribals who apparently have nothing to do with extremism but are getting victimized between the war between Pakistan army and the militants in FATA.
Absolutely. And the point also being, Ariba, that all this now needs to be raised to international fora. They need to see the reality of Pakistan and how chemical warfare is being unleashed on citizens, because, you know, if the army gets rogue and if this happens across borders, then this becomes a security threat for the entire Central Asia, South Asia.
There is a concern that the Pashtun nation, separatist leaders as well as separatist leaders of Balochistan and Sindh region have been raising. So the way I see it is that we may or may not agree that these people deserve a different nation, separate nation from Pakistan, irrespective of the legitimacy of their claim. The thing that we need to understand is that if these chemical weapons go into the hand of these militant agencies, because you see, this is not one single militant agency which is working in FATA right now. There are numerous of them. So almost all major militant activities that we have witnessed in Asia and in areas of Afghanistan, all of them have roots in FATA. So if such kind of weapons are in their hands, then they can easily create disturbances in Central Asia. Because the two movements, for example, in China, there is a Uyghur extremist movement that is going in there. So even those militants have roots in FATA. So obviously, these are the information that once in a while we keep hearing from security experts and people who are involved in these regions. But yeah, we have enough. What I'm trying to say is that we have a legitimate concern here. We need to look at how the Pakistan army is safeguarding these weapons, and why are they using it, where are they using it, the people who are getting affected, do they deserve to get affected? The one thing that I would say that they might say that they have said this, their security advisors, that the region where these chemical weapons are used, or wherever Pakistan army is active in FATA, in these regions the civilians have been asked to leave the place. There are no civilians in these regions. However, the separatist leaders say that that is not true. There are still civilians there, and according to them, they are good people.
True.
These people have nothing to do with religious extremism, and they are just being victimized.
Ariba, just stay with us. In fact, more reactions coming in on this story now. Let's play that out.
Human Rights Council, United Nations Security Council should also take up the issue of human rights violation, And, by passing resolution is not sufficient. What I believe, they should take some concrete action against the Pakistani army. Only then, it will stop such activities. Otherwise, it will continue. One side, the people are repressed. Other side, the neighbors are having problem. Be it Jammu and Kashmir state in India or Afghanistan. Now Bangladesh is also complaining. Large number of countries within the Central Asia have also problem with Pakistani army because they are indulging training militants from different countries.
Pakistan seems to be acting like a rogue army as a terrorist army. Use of chemical weapons against the innocents is a war crime, and I think this matter needs to be reported and a suit filed by all the neighboring countries, not only India. I think the high time has come for Afghanistan and Iran as well to come up and file a suit in the International Court of Justice and take Pakistan to the court and bring them to justice.
Well, let's go straight across to Ritangshu Bhattacharya, who is joining us live with further details. Ritangshu, what can you tell us?
Well, there have only been 6 instances after the Geneva Convention was signed in 1924 that there have been chemical weapons used by dictators and despots across the world. So it's very important for our viewers to understand what exactly are we looking at when understanding the magnitude of this war crime committed by Pakistan. Let's go through those 4 effects one by one, starting from the beginning once again here. The 4 chilling consequences of chemical response. The first impact, of course, is something which chokes the blood vessels here. The second impact is, of course, let's start with the first impact. It's rapid organ failure that's caused because of the blooding. The second impact is asphyxiation, which is caused by clogging the lungs and choking the respiratory tract. The third impact is caused, of course, by burning the skin and eyes and causing large blisters, which causes permanent skin damage. And the fourth impact, of course, is it results in death because of muscle paralysis of the diaphragm and the heart. Back to you then.
Absolutely. Ritangshu, of course, taking us to those details there of the previous instances when chemical warfare has indeed been used. Umar Daud Khatak, Pashtun leader and activist, is also in fact joining us live now. Umar, well, the photographs that we see are really gruesome. What exactly happened? When did the Pashtun people realize that the Pak army had used chemical weapons on them, and how many people have been affected?
Pakistan has been using chemical weapons since long in Waziristan and other tribal agencies. It has been about 10 years that they are doing it since they started their first operation against the so-called terrorism in the tribal agencies. So there have been tens of families who have been affected by the use of Pakistan Army's chemical weapons. And there was a family who escaped to the nearby district Banu. We also did fundraising for them. And the photos they shows the victim, and many people have, of course, killed by the use of the chemical weapons.
Absolutely. And, Ariba, if I can come back to you, we have to look at things in a succession, because this is how they're suppressing their internal problems. They want to nitpick with India, they want to meddle in our affairs. But the fact is, inside Pakistan, there is a crisis staring at them, be it in POK, where they're also indulging in human rights violations, be it in Balochistan, something that's been covered extensively for a while now, and something that was referred to by PM Modi as well, and now in this Pashtun region which you're talking about today.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the Pashtun separatist leaders, they have been traveling to India and have been campaigning alongside Baloch separatist leaders. So when we started talking about the Balochistan cause, parallelly we were hearing about these stories coming from Pashtun separate leaders that we are also equally oppressed as Baloch are. Eventually now we have got our hands on these pictures. Interestingly, even Baloch activists have so plenty of these pictures where the Baloch who are living in their region, Balochistan, are affected by chemical weapons. So there are actually pictures coming from there also. If you have to look into succession, then FATA was never a region which Pakistan was taking seriously as a cause where they, as a place where they wanted any development to come. It was just acting as a barrier for them until it was under the British regime way back in 90s. It was only a barrier for British Empire for Afghanistan. Eventually, when Pakistan took it in, then they did not really bother about the development part, which is why it became a very porous area for militant groups to gather and make it their backyard.
True. And that, of course, is why there's such an alarming security situation developing as well in that region. Stay with us, Ariba and Umar. In fact, more breaking reactions now coming in on this story.
If that news is correct and that paper Guardian have a very authentic value, and we have heard from other sources also, this is shocking, and this is the breach of the international law, the guideline laid down by the Swiss Accord also, and this is a clear-cut violation of the human right. I strongly condemn this, and government of India should take note of this. And one thing more, this matter should be raised at the UNO also, not by our government, but by other agencies, because if this is being done there, that may have impact across the border also.
I don't think it's going to use that, but it is a kind of an intimidatory method, and in fact United States has also expressed its anguish and displeasure at the manner in which Pakistan is proceeding to use chemical weapons, and I'm sure Nawaz Sharif will reconsider, because it does not harm or kill your enemies, but it kills yourself as well.
Right, and Umar, if I can come back to you now, any information that we have at all about the number of casualties, and why has it been so difficult for information about Pak atrocities on the Pashtuns to trickle out of Pakistan? Umar.
The number goes into hundreds, and I tried to make this information public, but no media in Pakistan and even in Afghanistan was ready to report it. And I did in fact reported this to the State Department and US Parliament, and now Pakistan is not receiving the military aid from the US.
They don't want to acknowledge the problem, be it perpetrating terror as well sometimes, or be it using chemical warfare against their own people. And sometimes, unfortunately, Ariba, what happens is that the government has no control over the army. So it's a deadly concoction.
Absolutely right. You're right on this note. See, the thing is that they are not admitting it, right? Even in the morning when we were discussing this issue, the person who was representing Pakistan apparently was saying that, no, we are not at all killing any civilians. So we have two different narratives here. If we go by the record, we are more likely to doubt Pakistan's claims when they say that they are not killing any civilians. I would say one thing, that if they're so sure about it, they should allow 100% freedom of press in the region. They should allow media to come out with a balanced reporting in that region. It's very difficult. I mean, imagine this. This particular incident took place in February 2016. We are in January 2017 right now, and we are talking about pictures of an incident that took place way back in February. There is so much problem. The separatist leaders, they themselves say that it is difficult for the people living there to openly come out to in the public arena, in the international community, and speak out loud, because they feel threatened. That is what the other accounts of the people who are living in these regions. Okay. So if we listen to them, then obviously you need, if you are so sure that you're not killing any civilians and these people deserve to be manhandled like this, or if you're saying, okay, we have no idea who these pictures belong to, then you should just allow the international community to see what is happening in the area.
Fair enough, yeah. Why are you guarding it so closely? Why are you holding it like a secret? More reactions meanwhile coming in. Ariba and Umar, stay with us.
The
way Pakistani state has evolved, the state is missing and the non-state actors are actually dictating Pakistan's policies, not only domestic one, even the foreign policy ones, even the way they should treat other provinces like Balochistan or Pakhtunkhwa area. Enough information is available for the world community to get together, get their acts together and put pressure on Pakistan. It's in the interest of Pakistan that it evolves as a more civilized, more sensible state, and more in the interest of the people of Pakistan, because they never dreamt, they never thought, Jinnah never thought that one day his Pakistan shall turn into Hafiz Saeed's Pakistan.
Analyzing this story now further, let's quickly go back to Ritangshu Bhattacharya for more perspective. Ritangshu.
Well, let's once again put into perspective the magnitude of the war crimes committed by Pakistan. And as I said earlier, there were only 6 instances of chemical weapons being used in recorded history. The first was way back in 1924 by Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. He gassed about 30,000 Ethiopians during the 1934 war between Italy and Ethiopia. The second recorded instance happened a few years later, also during the Second World War, by Japanese dictator Emperor Hirohito. He reportedly was responsible for the deaths of 3 lakhs during the Second Sino-Japanese War, a majority of it due to chemical weapons here. The third, of course, instance here is the most infamous of them all, which is, of course, the Holocaust, which happened at the peak of the Second World War by the most infamous dictator in the history of mankind, Adolf Hitler. He reportedly gassed 1.1 million Jews in gas chambers alone during the Second World War. The fourth important instance which comes across was then by Egyptian dictator Abdul Nasser, who reportedly gassed 1,500 Yemenis people during the North Yemen civil war. This was reportedly by his use of mustard gas here. The fifth was the most recent example in the 1990s, of course, by dead dictator Saddam Hussein, who used nerve gas for the first time to incapacitate Kurds during the Kurdish invasion in 1991. He is reportedly responsible for the deaths of more than 5,000 Kurds using nerve gas in the early 90s. The most recent, of course, reaction is that of Bashar Assad, who is the Syrian dictator, and he used sarin nerve gas, which results in incapacitating the nervous system of the victims, and as a result, he has taken 1,500 Kurds, the lives of 1,500 Kurds due to that. Finally, of course, after all of this comes, of course, the current head of the Pakistani Army, Qamar Bajwa, and his predecessors who are also complicit here. They have been supervising the chemical weapons bombing in Waziristan for the past many years.
Shocking indeed. Pakistan going on that infamous list there through this act that they've carried out against the people, as this world-exclusive report has brought out. We leave it there, Ritangshu. Thank you for joining us. Also, thanks to Ariba and Umar, who joined us earlier. Let's take a quick break on that note. We'll be tracking this